So, you've clicked on this video, so you clearly are fine with spoilers, since, I mean, well, the thumbnail already kind of, like, told you to not click if you don't want spoilers, but anyways, Mutant. Right, this fight is absurdly difficult, and definitely outshines every other single encounter in an entire game, including the pit, I would say. It's just sheer difficulty. This is the first fight where you are genuinely forced to super guard because, well, you're not getting around to not super guarding here. It's just not gonna fly, considering this guy has defense piercing and an absurd amount of self-regen if you don't super guard everything. The way you unlock this fight, in case you haven't gotten it already, is by going back to Telemon's Manor following the ending of Chapter 5. I think you can technically initiate this sooner, but all you really need is third tier sword, but I just recommend completing Chapter 5 just to do it. And then after you take your max upgraded sword, you go to the left. Red room would be on the mirror dimension. You go there on normal dimension, break down the gate, and then you see the mutant. A general overview of the card I would recommend is 2 combos of Defend Plus to slightly lower his regen on the Slam attack, plus make Barrage more consistent. Knight and Aggressor for your 2 damage up to get Slingshot up to 8. Which, because spoiler alert, we're using Slingshot in this fight, because Slingshot is by far and none your best ability to do damage, because while you could technically get higher damage output with other moves, it also runs the risk of killing you way faster when you could have otherwise potentially lived. Because he has the Solitude mechanic where the more damage you deal to him in a hit, the more damage bonus he gets. Which is incredibly detrimental. I would recommend running as much health as you can. You don't really need much SP. I would recommend getting like a little bit of SP though. Definitely enough so you can run Feel Fine and Charge Defense. Both of those are incredibly beneficial, I'd say, especially for practicing. Because it lets you survive for a lot longer, even if you can't, like, necessarily, you know, win. It does let you get a better grasp of the super guard timings, because it generally lets you last for longer. Now, I'm not saying spam these two, but I am saying, okay, if you memorize the turn cycle, I'd recommend using Feel Fine right before the Slam combo attack, if you're not confident in hitting super guard. Or if you mess it up and haven't used Feel Fine, gamble on using it, because you'll overall save the amount of dice rolls you need to do if you just do Feel Fine there. While you could technically go all in on Slingshot, that makes things a lot more luck-based, and ultimately, you'd like to minimize the amount of luck you need. Medkit is almost a must-bring, because it just gives you a second chance in case you mess up the Ghost Potion move. Which, spoiler alert, before we get to, like, exactly how I handle the fight, I would heavily recommend that you don't use Ghost Potion when it tells you to. You can super guard the move, and the timing isn't that hard to learn. Even if you really wanted to, I'd recommend you just using Spear instead, because it's substantially safer in my opinion, because you're not wasting a turn. Like, you're saving effectively 8 extra damage on the boss, which 8 extra damage is a lot in a fight like this. Now for the actual gameplay loop of this fight. Generally speaking, turn 1, I'd either recommend doing double Slingshot, or Charge Defense and then Slingshot once. Either of these are about equally valuable in my opinion, but it depends on like how experienced you are with this fight. The better you get in this fight, the more I'd recommend just running double Slingshot for your first turn, but it can vary depending on person to person. Second turn, I'd almost always recommend going just double Slingshot. Even though you can get confused this turn, I do think it's generally speaking worth it to go for the damage here. And depending on if you super guard the Dizzy, you will either Feel Fine plus Slingshot, or Feel Fine plus Feel Fine if you mess up the first Feel Fine, or Slingshot plus Slingshot if you hit the super guard. After that, just play incredibly aggressively. If you're not confident in dodging the Ghost Potion move, I would just use a Spear. I would bring at least a 1. If you're super not confident and really don't want to risk it, I'd bring a 3 or 4 Spears, so you can just avoid all of those. You do get free damage out because of that. If you're confident, I would just super guard it though, because that's only more viable play. Oh yeah, and don't forget to use Ghost Walker when you can. You'll only realistically get 1, maybe 2 during this fight, though. Imp Signs out? Good luck. I really don't have much else to say. A lot of this fight is just getting good at the super guard timing, which takes trial and error, but I believe you can do it. Just give it your all, don't give up. Whatever else advice I could really give and just like generic for like getting better on something that's trial and error based. This one, there's like a lot here, and I'm kind of trying my best, but like it seems like I am, and I don't want to spend too long making a guide on this fight. Especially considering it might get changes very soon. I just want to get something out there so people like know of a rough idea on how to beat this one. See ya.